Welcome, everyone. So today we are kicking off a new series of podcasts and videos that I'm going to call Conversations with My Friends, where I just chat with some different folks about their travel experiences and their tips over the years. And I happen to be in Atlanta right now, visiting my dad, and he is a long-time traveler, traveled way more than I have. So I thought we would start with him and get his travel tips. So he's been traveling, what did you say, since the 60s?
Since the 1960s, yes.
And
yes.
you largely because of the nature of what you do for your job and for work. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, just to sort of start off, the long-term traveler thing, I think it sounds better if you say experienced traveler.
Okay.
That way you didn't have to know all the long-term events and benefits. But yeah, I was born in Georgia, in a little town in North Georgia, and so most of my experience has been with small town folks, and just had a great life back then with small town folks. So everything that I was doing was an adventure, so to speak. So my first actual plane trip was on a business trip that I'd been hired by a company out of Massachusetts, and they were setting me up for like three weeks of training. So having never been on an airplane, most of our trips were all vacation trips, driving and that kind of thing. So it was an adventure, to say the least. And just the whole thing of doing it, seeing the people at that point in time, everybody kind of dressed up. It wasn't like a real casual trip. Everything had business suits or business attire or casual business attire.
And I even remember that just flying when I was little, just people.
Yeah,
you just
right.
were expected to dress up when you were flying.
Yep. And it was a whole different experience. I mean, you had none of the issues today. You simply went to the airport, you checked in, and you went to the gate and got on the plane. Away you went. So
no security.
No security, nothing. You didn't have any of that. You could actually go to the gate and meet your people coming in, or you could have somebody go to the gate with you. So it was different. And flying then was just everything that happened on that flight, as I remember, was an experience. It was just another adventure. I was enamored with the outside, the clouds, everything there. I mean, back then too, we were flying late that night actually, and so everybody had what they call tourist back then section. It wasn't economy. And so we had meals too, believe it or not. It wasn't just a Coke
peanuts.
and a pizza.
Now we don't even have peanuts. Right?
That's right. Now peanuts are bad for you anyway, so you really don't want those. But so it was. You had a meal, you had drinks, you had whatever you wanted. People were really nice. All of the stewardesses back then, as they were called, now they're called flight attendants, of course, were just. They wanted your business, and they wanted you to be comfortable and happy. Flying over New York City on the way up, I just was completely blown away with all the lights and everything else. I mean, it was just a great view out the window going, holy cow, that's what it looks like.
And it's still, I mean, anytime flying over New York City is amazing to me. You know?
It is, right, truly is. So that was my first experience, and which are adventure, and it's just kind of gone from there to kind of a worldly travel, business and pleasure and everything else.
And why do you travel for work?
I'm in sales, and I'm a manufacturer's representative, so we represent different companies and 4 different retail operations. It's been a big change over the years. You have to kind of move with the times. So a lot of the sales meetings, a lot of your customers are out of the country or in the country, or whatever. So it was has been an opportunity to do a lot of outside the country traveling as well. And yeah.
So living in Atlanta now, Delta is the airline that you have flown most most of your life. And so he was telling me about that he is a flying colonel. So tell us what that means with Delta.
Yeah, well, I mean, Delta, of course, headquartered out of Atlanta. It's been most of my flying, and once they kind of trap you into, especially with the frequent flyer program and that kind of thing, you kind of have to stay with whichever airlines that are using at the time. Back then, we didn't have that many. We had Eastern, which was a Miami-based airlines. I think we had Pan Am and maybe TWA Transworld.
That was the other one I was trying to think of. Pan Am.
Right. So those were about your choices. Delta being the hometown Atlanta airline, and our neighborhoods. I was around a couple of pilots. You may remember Gary and
right.
Yeah, he was a Delta pilot. And then I did a lot of trap shooting, competitive shooting, and for some reasons, several pilots, the Delta pilots, they were also shooters, so we would get to know them. But it's from that perspective, back then, again, it was a whole different experience. They want your business and they want you to be happy, and it's not a so-called cattle herding kind of mentality, I guess, at this point. But they had something kind of like they were calling it a flying colonel, and you had to know somebody within the company to recommend you. It wasn't necessarily that you were a big time flyer, but you could be. And so a friend of mine had a family friends, and we got to know them through the visitations, Dennis and Mercier, you know them. And so they had another friend that worked for Delta, and she was gracious enough to recommend me. They gave me that, and actually it's been one of the best things that anybody has probably ever done for me, just from a convenience standpoint and the long term. Back then, a flying colonel would just recognize you had a certificate and a pin. And it was free.
Did you have to bring that or wear
No,
they just had you in their system?
Just had you in the system. And so you could, they had free access to their crown room, I think it was probably called back then. And you would get upgrades occasionally. You'd get free drink certificates if you needed that. So it was just an overall big benefit. And also back then, if you were a frequent flyer for Delta and you were the medallion or diamond or platinum status kind of stuff, it was a whole different experience than today. Not that many flyers, not that many high level, and flying out of Atlanta, you could actually get upgrades without having 500 people in front of you at a higher level. So over the years, my status has gone from medallion to whatever to nothing on occasion. But always that flying colonel has been able to get me medallion, seating, and some of the other little couple of perks. And so it's just been, I'm 6'3". I don't fit comfortably in some of these seats that they have. So my favorite seating is exit row aisle. And that way my shoulders don't bump against the side, and I can still take a nap when I need to, and I have plenty of leg room. So it's just been a wonderful thing to have. And still today, probably there's still a few of us around.
But you can't be a flying colonel anymore.
No, there's no such thing anymore except those of us that already have it. So
you're a lifetime
member.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And some of the new people, when you're talking to them on the phone at Delta, they have no idea what a flying colonel is, but for the most part, it's probably 50-50. Some of the older ones, they still recognize it as for what it is, and then thank you for flying as much as you did back then or now. So it's a good thing to have for me particularly. So a wonderful thing.
So tell us a little bit just about any top travel tips. I know like how you get that exit row seat on the plane, what you bring with you, what you like to do on the plane.
You can of course, the best way to fly, the most comfortable way, is to get in that first class cabin. So at this point in time, particularly, and back then even more so. So it's that. I mean, that's your most comfortable attitude. If you can get it, great. From a standpoint of some people, they like to wait till the last minute to try to get the best fare, you know, that kind of thing. And you can save some money over a period of time sometimes. Me, my best shot, I want to fly first class if I can, or I want my exit row seating. So when I'm trying to book flights, and now you just book them, and in the past you could go to your travel agent and tell them you wanted to take 3 trips. Here are the dates, figure it out. Now you have to go in and do your own thing for the most part. So I go in and look. I am concerned about price, but if it's a little more than I want to pay, and there is chance of saving, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 bucks at a period of time, your chance of getting those exit row seats become diminished, because those are the first ones to go. So I prefer just to go in, take it, and if the seats are available, which they are, because I try to plan it at least 30 to 45 days out front if I can, I want those seats. So I'm willing to pay a few dollars extra just to get those seats if it's possible, which to me is important. So instead of saving a little bit of money, I'd rather have that extra comfort.
And that's why I can't get you on a Southwest plane, because you can't pick your seat ahead of time, right?
You know, I did that one time at your suggestion, and it was a nice flight. It truly was. But when I was like A30 or whatever the heck it was, standing in the line, I'm going, okay, I maybe have a shot. So, and we're the first group of people that go in. It's like a rush to the exit row seats. So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden would be next to pick up one, but no, they were already full. So I had to pick whatever, and it was a short flight, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah. So I'd rather have my choice and be able to
know you got it for sure.
Yeah, know I've got my seat. Yeah, it's just kind of important for me when I'm flying. So,
and you had a good tip, I thought, on saving on hotels, which is something I think people would not think about doing today. So tell us about that.
In the past, you could do a lot of the price lines and hotels.com, that kind of thing. A few years back, probably 3 to 5, well, probably 3 years back or 2 years back before, you could go to Priceline and do the competitive, or you could bid for whatever. You could bid for a hotel room, bid for a car, that kind of thing. And if you came up as your price was accepted, then you would go in. So many times I have stayed in some of the nicest hotels in some of the downtown nicest areas for 50, 60 bucks a night.
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
it's just ridiculous. I mean, back then you could get car rentals. I mean, good ones. I mean, not just the off-site, cheapos, but you could get the Hertz and the Avis and those. You could get them anywhere from $12 to $20 a day. Just by, here, I'll pay this if you want to take it. And
because it was sort of, they were letting out their inventory they hadn't sold, that was more last minute, right? So they're willing to take less for it.
So you could do it a couple, 3 days up front, or you could do it a week up front, but chances of getting it a week up front were kind of no. But for the most part, it wasn't a big deal. Some hotel, some nice hotel downtown, some car rental agency would have some excess inventory, so you could do that. Today, it's pretty much, it just doesn't really exist. The hotel's occupancy rate, I think, is somewhere around 85, before the Corona-19, was somewhere around 85% occupancy. So they weren't willing to really do any deals. Today, I find that you look at all the websites, compare the prices, they're all pretty much the same. And 75% of the time I can call the hotel and probably get a better rate, 10 to 15 bucks off of what they're actually offering online sometimes, or a lot of times. So it's
I just
different.
think in today's day and age, you just don't think about picking up the phone and calling someone.
No, you don't.
So I think that's just
right. It's
unusual probably for them to have people call and ask that,
And if you stayed there before, or if you're, somebody that, or some hotel chain where you do have some, status, they will recognize that and try to give you a little break or upgrade the room, or,
something.
Yeah, something that will keep you happy. So yeah, which is a good thing.
So let's talk about, other than work, some of the other kind of trips that you do. And he's a very adventurous guy, way more than me, though he tries.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So for example, well, we'll start with scuba diving, because that's an adventurous thing. So I've told this story before, but get me to scuba dive in 8th grade when took us to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was terrified to do it. And he did convince me to get in the water. And although I indicated to the dive instructor that if I did this, that means I want it up right now.
That was on the third or fourth try to get her down. She would keep going, let's go back up. And then finally she goes, if I do this, that means right now. So, and she did go down. Yeah. So, and
I loved it once I was down there. Like, I didn't want to come back up. Like, I think my oxygen got down to the very bare minimum. I thought it was great. Now I still have a hard time. As a grown adult who thinks too much about it, it's harder for me, but I've been able to get my kids and stuff to do that. But anyway, so he's a big scuba diver, and he's done things like swim with sharks. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, we've done a lot of different things in a lot of different countries, and I mean, I'm really not one that likes to follow a group around, but it's just one of those things. I'd rather be independent, go do my thing, or call in and say, I know you've been there, tell me, what I need to be doing. But yeah, I mean, there's so much difference in scuba diving that you can do, whether it's, diving on wrecks. We've been on the U-352, which is a U-boat wreck off the North Carolina coast, down in, I think it was Dominica. We were on a cruiser, or the deck of a cruiser underwater, down about 80 feet. And what they call going down to the sand is could be another 20 or 25 feet from the deck of the, whatever ship you're on. So we just decided the two of us, to hit the sand. So we were down, and we'd been told there are probably sharks in the area, which are fine. I mean, we weren't feeding them or anything, but we just wanted to see the sharks. And as soon as we hit the sand, I don't know, we had probably 15 tiger sharks that all of a sudden showed up. It was a very cool adventure. I mean, it was just, I didn't feel afraid. They were swimming. They were big ones. They were probably 10 feet, some of them, and they would come by and bump you on the shoulder and kind of stuff. But
is that just to see what you are?
I guess, to see what you are? just to sort of see. But it was just we sat there for 10 minutes, I guess, while they were just floating around, coming through, going, coming, and then we decided, okay, that was fun. That really was. Let's go back up, and they left. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean, diving, if you've never done it, it's a wonderful experience. Totally different world. You see things that you just never you sometimes will see on TV or in pictures, but it's nothing like seeing it in real life. And penetrating one of the old wrecks or the ships or that kind of thing is just it's just a great adventure again.
Wasn't Bonaire one of your favorite places? Because it's super dive friendly. Like, can't you just walk into the water there or something?
Right. Yeah. Bonaire is you kind of on your own there. They give you a truck when you get there, so you drive through, fill up, you get your tanks filled up, and for the most part, you just go to different parts of the island, and you can walk down what they call the 100 step. So you actually go down 100 steps to get to, but you got to come back up 100 steps as well too, carrying your gear. But for the most part, you can go downtown Bonaire, walk out, go down to the reef, or you can go in different parts of the island and just wade into the water and head out to the reef. So it's a different kind of diving experience versus Cozumel, which is what they call drift diving. So you literally float You don't, without much effort or any effort. And sometimes you can float pretty fast. So there's different types of diving, different type of diving.
Just RE Grand Cayman, we did, I didn't scuba dive there, but in terms of snorkeling, like you can pretty much just walk in anywhere on the island. And we saw people scuba diving too, just going on in.
Right.
So which I thought was amazing. It's at least snorkeling is a good free thing you could do anywhere on Grand Cayman. Pick your spot and walk in, and I suppose you probably could dive. They had excellent diving in Grand Cayman. So I know my husband and 12-year-old did that. They saw sea turtles, and they didn't see a shark, but they saw some huge wall underneath. Anyway, it was very cool. Okay, another thing that I think is interesting is he is a metal detector, right? And he took me a minute for you to kind of get me interested in that, to learn about it. So like we've done some metal detecting around Atlanta because of course a lot of Civil War battles happened in this area, and he knows where some of them are just like in behind neighborhoods and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. So he's taken me and my boys out, and we've actually dug up like shotgun bullets. Shells and
the actual bullets.
What were the little circular?
Those were actual Civil War bullets. Those were, three ringers. We call them three ringers. They're all lead, and that's what they were using back then. And in the war, that's what they used. So
it's just pretty amazing. You can just find that around Atlanta, I think.
Oh yeah, you can't really dig in any of the parks, in any of the national parks where they have the national battles. But there's plenty of areas where they've had skirmishes, battles, everything else that are privately owned homes or anything like that. But history's always been kind of interesting to me, not necessarily just learning about it and hearing the dates and that kind of stuff, but actually finding out about some of that thing. So metal detecting, it's a little bit different. It's more complicated than what people would think it is, but by the same token, if you have some old colonial homes or back in the Revolutionary War, back up in the Northeast, you can find a lot of old coins back in the 1800s, or a lot of buttons where they had them on their coats or on their hats. They would have different emblems, medals, their buckles that they had on their belts or on their cartridge plates, boxes that they would carry all this heavy bullets around in. So yeah, you can do that. And England is.
But he's actually done some trips specifically to metal detect. Yeah, that's the travel connection here.
Yeah. So in the UK, they have some of the best laws governing. A lot of the countries just won't let you metal detect, and if you do metal detect, they will not let you bring the stuff out of the country. It's just they won't do it. So in the UK, they've established a system with the British Museum, the government. If you ever get a chance to go to the UK, go to the British Museum. You can spend days there, but literally you will see things in that museum that you will never see ever anywhere else. From coins to artifacts out of the Romans to the Greeks to, it's just an amazing place. The Rosetta Stone is sitting there.
Oh wow!
So it's so they will let you find jewelry, Roman jewelry. At some point in time, England has been probably occupied by pretty much every civilization that's on the continent for whatever reasons, from the Vikings to the Saxons to the Romans in this one man has literally made a very nice living out of talking to the farmers around Colchester, England, which is the oldest city in England. And he is, as they farm the fields, and they do it twice a year, they turn the fields to replant. And as they do that, then he has made an agreement with them that you can go in and metal detect. And should you find, say, gold, then you and the farmer split whatever the value of that gold is. So there, it's just been, you can find anywhere from Roman artifacts, coins, gold statues, gold coins. They're just everything in the world. Cool. And I'm sure you've seen at some point in time some of the articles that pop up in the paper where some kid had his first metal detector and went out in the field in England, and lo and behold, there's 150 silver coins that he discovered. So it's just, you never know.
But you did a trip specifically.
Right.
So,
right.
And what did you find?
We have just a lot of buttons, a lot of coins from the Romans, some really old ones. Probably the most unique thing that I found there was what they call a Saxon skeet. And it's a solid silver coin, very, 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 very small. There's only been 14 of them found in the world.
Wow.
And I was number
That's
14.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and that was a difficult one. It's so small that it just kept playing games with the metal detector, and you'd lose it, you'd find it, you'd lose it, you'd find it. And finally we picked it up, and I thought it was like a little rusty washer to begin with. And finally the guy that was leading the tour goes, no, let's play with that a little bit and see what it really is. And so it turned out to be a very nice find there. Yep.
So it was an organized tour where you were allowed to, because it wasn't just you, it was other people too, right?
Yeah, they were it wasn't necessarily a tour, but we had like 5 different people at that point in time. So we would stay with them, not in a hotel. We would actually stay in their boarding house there, and every morning at 8 o'clock he'd drive us out to whichever fields we wanted to go to, and drop some of us off here, some of us off at other places, and come back at 6 o'clock and pick it up and pick us up. And he'd bring us out lunch around noon. So.
And you've done that elsewhere too, like Virginia, is that right?
Yeah, we do a lot. Of course, in Virginia is a big Civil War state, obviously, as you know, probably. And there's tons of all kind of stuff in Virginia. So we several trips to Virginia, several to New England, which is again the older homes, Revolutionary War, that kind of thing. Up there, you find just different kind of stuff. So yeah.
So what are some of your other favorite trips over time?
Oh, aside from I like to do a lot of different things. I'm a cyclist, a bicyclist. So I like doing a road rides here, but a couple of the trips we've taken out in the mountains for business that turned out to be, we could also do something besides, say a couple, 3 extra days and getting some extra stuff. Sun Valley, Idaho, great cycling out there, beautiful country. And they are of course mountain, biking, and there's different, you can do like a single track or come down a mountain or whatever the heck it is. And I get a little bit stupid at times with the bicycle. So probably the mountain cycling, coming on a single track down a mountain, is not the safest thing for me to be doing. But
I've tried mountain biking. I do not understand the appeal. You just jerking the whole way down and terrified the whole way down. That was not for me. I tried it.
Yeah, but it's the speed that you can gain going down and jumping the roots and the rocks and whatever it is. So yeah.
And you always loved the Rocky Mountains. Right.
Oh, gosh,
so he had a longtime condo in Beaver Creek, and which is out by Vail in Colorado.
Yep. It's I think the mountains, to me, seashores are great as long as I can take my metal detector and be walking and doing something while
find some diamond rings in the sand.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. While the wife or the daughter or whatever, they're laying out and enjoying the sun, which is a great thing to be doing. But for me, the mountains, there's just no more natural beauty and more of God's beauty than the mountains. I agree. It's just they're just incredible to see and to look at. It's just I just get really, really excited about being out west. I love the West. Yeah, probably should have been a cowboy at some point in time, but or maybe a frontiersman. Who knows?
Well, haven't you gone to some of the old mining towns
Yep.
and some of that stuff out there? We've tried to do some of that with our boys too.
Yeah, I don't know, just the mere fact of going somewhere where not a lot of people can go. A couple of times we've taken the metal detector and wound up way back in the one of these old, a couple of the old mining towns, which you had to literally walk in for a mile or two to even get to. There were no trails or whatever to get in there. And you just find some older stuff, nothing of any consequence, but it's just the fact that they were using them out there. And you see a lot in Utah. There's on the snowmobiles, you can get back in the mountains up there, and just deep back in the woods, there's just old towns that are no longer exist. So across this entire country, there's just so much stuff that you can do and see if you like the older, seeing the places where people used to actually live and make a living, and no longer. It's all gone. So,
any other favorite locations, destinations?
We've done. I do like going to England just to see the history there. I mean, everything we go to in Europe is of course history. I mean, it's a lot of history there that we don't have here. So, obviously, one of the big trips was to Barcelona. We were taking a business trip there and decided to spend an extra 3 days, or actually 3 or 4 days, and had a really good time. It was just a great city, and you can spend a lot of time and see a lot of things that, again, you see sometimes on the TV or hear about. But yeah, it's just, I'm one of those that, again, I don't like to do the same thing twice. I want to see something new, and everything for me is an adventure. I know it. We had discussed about a bucket list or something. I don't really have a bucket list.
What?
So it's there's a couple places I would like to go, and one's the Holy Land, and one is Italy.
Yeah.
Lynn has spent so much time in Italy, and now she's trying to learn the language so she can become a local, I suppose. But that they're just that I want to go there and see the things that she's talked about.
So beautiful. Just
yeah,
the whole thing.
So it's great. But yeah, the Holy Land is definitely one that I would seriously like to venture. It's my feeling about traveling and doing now is that when I was growing up, my expectations were somewhat limited because of where I was growing up in the North Georgia mountain kind of thing. So I have done so much more than I ever probably thought that I ever would. That I am. So whatever I do now is just a plus side. It's on the plus side. And it's going to be an adventure, whatever the heck it is. I'm going to make it an adventure, one way or the other. So, and you of course have been traveling so much, and it's the best thing in the world to do for the boys. They will have experiences and less fears than so many people that have not been able to experience some of that stuff. So you guys have done a super job of that, and it'll be a meaningful experience for them.
So I said, we hope so, but we hope they don't just forget it all or get it all confused because we've been so many places, but we'll help them remember. We've got plenty of pictures and such, so.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, well, I think that's a good, you have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered pretty much out. Yeah, I guess we pretty much covered everything that's of any consequence. But all
right, well,
it was an enjoyable, and thank you for coming to Atlanta to,
of course,
help me get over an Achilles tear. So
yeah, we got to get that healed so he can get back out and traveling and doing all this adventurous stuff again.
Right, exactly right.
Yep. So we're working on that. Okay. All right, well, thanks for kicking off my first conversations with friends, with conversations with my dad. But
absolutely. Well, thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See ya.